Hello, my name is Sindel Thomas Kozar. I am an urban Indigenous mother, artist, advocate, and forever learner from Melfort, Saskatchewan on Treaty 6 territory. I'm here today to tell you about my idea, the Turtle Island Wellness Network. For years, Indigenous people have been struggling to connect with safe, culture inclusive, barrier-free mental wellness service providers. And I'm not talking about only those who live remotely or Indigenous communities. So why is it that our Indigenous people aren't getting the mental wellness services they deserve? We should all know the detrimental impacts of colonialism, the Indian Act, residential schools, and the intergenerational impacts of those things on Indigenous people. So if our people need support, why aren't they getting the help that they deserve? Like the connected roots of trees within a forest that share their water and life, we hope to connect Indigenous people with healing, cultural, mental health, and wellness services across Turtle Island. My idea will take the guesswork out of finding safe, culturally inclusive, barrier-free service providers for Indigenous people. The online network of service providers will have all the information you need laid out for you to connect you with the necessary mental wellness services that match your needs. With the search and filter function, you won't need to disclose excess amounts of personal information to find your desired outcome. As Indigenous people, we constantly have to over-explain our life experiences to service providers. That should not be our experience when accessing services to be well. Our network will also address a key concern of contemporary Indigenous peoples in accessing traditional services. Ceremony has been used for generations for mental wellness by our peoples. However, it's hard to find safe, reliable sources for these practices unless you have the proper community connections. And as someone who was raised in a predominantly white town by a residential school survivor, I was one of those who didn't have those connections. However, I was one of the lucky ones. I was still able to be exposed to my culture through an Indigenous organization, a nonprofit in my community. These Indigenous-ran spaces like nonprofits, friendship centers, and tribal councils have long been doing the support work for our Indigenous peoples, and it's about time we gave them a platform of connection. Including these Indigenous support systems both addresses the need for cultural services and expands the horizon for care for Indigenous people. It is with this network I hope to connect those struggling with their mental wellness to find these crucial traditional practices, important, culturally inclusive, safe spaces, or whatever mental wellness services they need. With the Turtle Island Wellness Network, Indigenous people won't have to second guess where to find services for their own mental wellness, whether it be a therapist, group programming, cultural activities, or ceremony. By Indigenous people, for Indigenous people. With your support, we can create the Turtle Island Wellness Network. Hi, hi.